Yesterday, independent journalist Matt Taibbi confirmed earlier reporting that former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard was placed on a terror watch list under the Quiet Skies program. Here to break this down for us is Sonya Hightower-Labosco, who blew the whistle on this story as reported by Undercover DC. So Sonya, thanks so much for joining us. How does an Army Reserve officer like Tulsi Gabbard suddenly end up on a terror watch list?
I mean, Jill, if you just didn't think anything could get worse in our country, this lets you know just how rock bottom we've gotten. We still don't know how Miss Gabbard and her husband were placed on this terrorist watch list. So we're still trying to figure that out. I mean, we're internally in the Federal Air Marshal Service. We have Federal Air Marshals deployed all over the world and domestically, and there's no one within the agency that can answer that question.
Why do you think then that Tulsi and her husband were targeted?
Well, this isn't the first time that we've been blowing the whistle on TSA for putting people on watch lists because of their political opinions. So this is my opinion. I do believe that she's been targeted because of the Biden-Harris administration and how vocal that she has been against their absurd policies.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a listen because we have heard Tulsi speak out against the cartel before.
The troubling part about all this is it's not even people who we vote for. When you look at what happened when President Biden had that infamous debate with President Trump, it exposed the reality that many of us have known for a long time, which is that President Biden has not been the guy calling the shots. He has not been the guy making the decisions, nor has it been Kamala Harris, for that matter, nor will it be if she is elected president. It is this cabal of, the Democrat elite, the woke warmongers, made up of the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and, Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan and, people who are in the military industrial complex, people who profit from us being in a constant state of war. It is those in the administrative state and the national security state who derive more authorities and ability to take away our liberty when we are in a heightened state of crisis.
Sonya, later on today's show, we're going to talk about the UK and them censoring for going out there and putting social media posts up that they don't like. But the last I checked, we still had the First Amendment here in the United States. So Tulsi Gabbard should still be able to say all of this stuff, no?
Yeah, well, I mean, we do have a constitution, but unfortunately, unelected bureaucrats at TSA are trying to enforce this unconstitutional policy on Miss Gabbard, her husband, and many others. I mean, this isn't the first time they've lied and put somebody on a political watch list within TSA. And I hope that Miss Gabbard, I mean, she's a serving military lieutenant colonel. I mean, how disgusting can we go in an agency to where we were brought over after 9/11? We were brought over to stop another terrorist attack and to thwart a hijacking. I think there is zero opportunity or zero issue with Miss Gabbard flying with her husband anywhere in the United States or worldwide. She's not a threat.
Sonya, what exactly do we know about the criteria by which they place people on the Quiet Skies list? Is this something where, it's just political targeting, we don't like these people, or do they actually have set criteria that allow them to go after political opponents?
Well, the TSA is going to say that she or her husband or someone in her connections violated an algorithm or a rule. But there's also one other thing that can happen. If you get sideways at the airport with anyone in the airport in TSA, and let's say you give them a side eye or you have some comment to say back, they can go in and issue you status on this list. So, who monitors this list? TSA, this national security database. And I want to make it clear, Miss Gabbard isn't just on an internal TSA list. Once you're placed on this terrorist watch list, this can go out to local law enforcement when you get pulled over for a traffic stop. I mean, think of the chaos this could create for an individual if they're on a traffic stop and a law enforcement officer pulls up and sees that they run their name and they're on a terrorist watch list. It can create a lot of bad things.
And according to the report, it says that Gabbard is unaware that she had 2 explosive detective canine teams, 1 transportation security specialist for the explosives, 1 plainclothes TSA supervisor, and 3 federal air marshals on every flight that she boards. This seems a little bit excessive. I mean, to go through and put all of that on somebody that we know that has served this country, my mind is blown that the list is that extensive for Tulsi Gabbard.
Mine too. I mean, I've deployed on these missions before. I've done these actual missions. I was an Air Marshal and I deployed on these missions. And I also was a supervisor that worked within the airport arena in regards to when someone that's put on one of these terrorist watch lists. And by the way, every airport that Miss Gabbard flies out of, the staff within that airport is going to know that she's coming to the airport, she's boarding the flight, they're going to know what airline and what gate, and they're going to have resources go over to that gate with the K9 teams to see if they can pick up some type of scent in the air. I know it sounds crazy and it's outrageous, but this is what TSA does every day to Americans with no vetting process. There's no reason for them to be on this list. And this program has been listed as an absolute failure by the DHS Office of Inspector General. But yet TSA is still being funded. This program's still being funded. We need to stop this type of overreach and unconstitutional actions by TSA.
You got to love it. It doesn't work. That's always in the fine print, too. It doesn't even work. It violates the Constitution and the rights of Americans. So how many people are on this list where you think it's politically motivated? How many other people are there right now who may not be aware that they are also being essentially targeted?
There's thousands. This list is massive. This is a massive list. There's thousands of people that have been added to this list, especially after the incident at January 2021 at the Capitol. These aren't just J6 people that are on the list. These are people that were traveling into the National Capital Region around January the 5th to January the 7th, 2021. These people have been put on the list as well. And I've seen a lot of these documents. You know, I have whistleblowers, I have air marshals in all offices across the United States. And I've seen the documents from the January 2021 manifest that they put individuals on the list, and they lied. They stated that average Americans that weren't even at the Capitol broke and entered into the Capitol, which is an outright lie. And if TSA will lie at this way against any American, and then they do it against Tulsi Gabbard, what would they do next?
So if you are an average American, there's a potential chance, like Tulsi and many others, that you don't even know that you're on this list. So what can people out there even do when it's going up against something that they don't even know that they're a part of?
Well, they need to contact the Air Marshal National Council. That's the first thing they can do. And we're going to point them over to representatives with the attorneys so they can file a Privacy Act. This is a Privacy Act violation. There's no doubt it's unconstitutional. I would tell them to keep their boarding pass. That's evidence. If you've got a Quad S on your boarding pass, do not throw that away. Keep that. Reach out. We'll be glad to help direct you in any way that you need to put you in touch with the right people in order to address this with TSA, because you cannot allow them to get away with it. This has been a mission creep for them for many years, and nobody's held them accountable. And we hope at this level with Miss Gabbard, who's a high profile, dual combat veteran, did tours in combat, that she's going to be able to elevate this issue and showcase just how horrible this agency really is.
Sonya, thanks so much for shedding some light on this case. We really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Yes, and you are on our good list because we see you wearing that suspendable insignia. I think that's a good portion of the people we have on our shows these days.
Well, thank you. And they're my brothers at the FBI. You know, they tried to stop the mission creep of the FBI, and we're doing the same thing with the Federal Air Marshals and TSA. So we have got some great patriots on our side, and thank you for having me tonight.
Keep fighting the good fight. We'll continue to talk about this story as it progresses.